Today we're going to be making a nicho. A nicho is like a picture frame that has a box attached, sort of like a shadow box picture frame. You can see on the back it has a box. And it opens up and you can put three-dimensional items in, and you can put in photographs, and you can put in a whole assemblage of things. Generally it has some kind of a shape with decorations around the outside, and often they're made out of metal or wood. Sometimes they have a little window on that you can open up. These are a lot of fun to make, and let's get started. First, you need to come up with some kind of a drawing or design, and this is the one that I've done. And I have taped it to a thick piece of metal. This is called tooling foil, and it is a lot thicker than regular aluminum foil. This stuff is, I think, 24 gauge or 36 gauge. Anyway, it's a really thick kind of a metal. You can trace your design after you tape it on. You can trace it with sort of a dull, blunt pencil. You want to use a lot of pressure, because what you're doing here is you're transferring your design from your paper right through, using pressure of your pencil tip right through the paper and onto the metal. So you're going to trace the entire design, every line, including this window right in the middle. You trace everything. And after you've gone over the entire thing, your design will start to show up. And you'll know if you turn it over and check it out, oh yeah, I forgot to put on this little design right here. So you can just double check it by looking at the back. And once you think you have the whole thing transferred, then you can take your paper off and start working on really embossing your metal. And what that means is using a tool, to make it stand out so that it's three-dimensional or sculptural. So my whole design is now transferred onto the metal. And now I'm going to use one of my embossing tools, one of these, and I want these designs and this design here to stand out. So I'm going to flip it over to the back side, and on this side, it's sort of like, imagine coloring something in with a crayon. You use medium pressure and you sort of rub it all over with the tool. And then you flip it over to this side, and you can see it's starting to stand out a little bit. And you can trace around it with your pencil right on the metal, and that just sort of pushes the back so that the part that you emboss stands out a little bit more. And you keep going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth again and again. And the more you do this, the more it's going to stand out, the more three-dimensional your designs will be. So you can see that is starting to be pretty three-dimensional. If you do this 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 times, it's going to become even more three-dimensional. Now, some of the designs that you have might be too small for this kind of a tool. And so we have tools that have other shapes like this one, so you can get into a really small little spot. Or another great tool is just your pencil. You can just use your pencil just like this to color in, or to start embossing some of those small designs. And then flip it over to the front, and you want to trace around it on the front. After you have your entire thing done, which I clearly do not have done, but after you have the entire thing done, you can start to cut it out. Now, this stuff can cut you if you're not really, really careful. So what I recommend doing is cutting off little pieces like this, so you don't have to get your hand in the way. So cut off some of the pieces around the edge, like this. So if you cut off the little pieces, then you don't have to get your hand stuck in an awkward position and scratch it up. So just cut off the edges like that, And then any little pieces that you want to trim will be a lot easier to get to. So you'll have a little shard maybe like this that could poke you, so try to snip off any of those little pieces. Then after you're finished cutting it out, we're going to finish the edge. Now, we're going to just pretend that I've cut this whole thing out and I've done all my embossing. This is how you finish the edge. You turn it over to the back and you find one of the big rounded tools, and you just go back and forth along the edge like this on the back of your metal. What happens is this starts to make your metal curl upwards a little bit, but since this is on the back, the great thing is it's going to make your whole frame or your whole nicho design have a nice curved edge so it looks like it's more finished. So you'll do this all the way around the entire exterior edge of your nicho. You can see this is going to start to look really finished when you see this little edge piece. See how nice that looks? So you'll do that all the way around the entire edge. When you're done with that, we need to cut out this window. So that window is going to be the spot where you put your pictures. What I like to do is just draw an X across the middle of this. Now, some of you have a kind of a metal that is really, really thick and heavy, and it's very difficult to cut out. So if you have a really thick one, you can give it to me, and I can cut it out for you or I can help you get it started by puncturing it with a sharp tool. And I sometimes just use a compass to puncture that, and that way you can get your scissors into that little spot and you can cut towards the edge. So all the way up to the corner of that rectangle that way, and all the way up to the corner of your rectangle this way. And then it's a lot easier to get your scissors in here and cut out that rectangle. Again, while you're cutting this out, you need to be really careful not to scrape your hands up and cut yourself, because this stuff can be pretty sharp, so be really careful. And then when you're finished doing your entire thing, the entire thing is embossed and finished around the edges, then we're going to be gluing this onto the box that you made with hot glue, and then you can assemble the things that need to go inside. Your nicho is going to be spectacular. I hope you have fun making it.